Hello everybody, welcome back to Board Game Nation. Today we're going to go through a nice game that came out last year. It's a kind of a dice drafting game, and it is called the Grand Austrian Hotel. So it's a pretty interesting game. It's got that mechanism that a lot of games had last year, which is that draft mechanism, or dice draft mechanism. So let's get started and look at how we play the game. Okay, so here we are at the Grand Austrian Hotel, and each person has a hotel that they will be managing. And up here is the board with all the dice that I've already rolled, and I've placed them into the corresponding spots. So all the ones go in this spot, and all the twos in here, and all the threes. In a two-player game, we take 10 dice and roll them. So each person is going to have 2 actions per round by taking one of these dice, and that's going to indicate a particular type of action depending on the pips on the die. So each person is going to do that, and in one round, which there are 7 rounds in the game right here, 1 to 7, we will be doing 2 actions per round. In bigger games, you will be using different amount of dice. So for instance, in a 3-player game, you're going to be using 12 dice, and in a 4-player game, you're going to be using the 14 dice that come with the game. Okay, we're going to place our markers around the board. So we've got a blue player and a purple player, and they're starting at 0 victory points. We've also got a blue player and a purple player on the Emperor track. So this is kind of a track on, we have given support to the Emperor or made the Emperor happy, and as we go up on this track, we'll be getting more influence with the Emperor. If we ever go past this point right here, every time we go past 13, we just get a victory point. So there's no point in going really past 13. But during the game, we're going to be scoring 1, 2, 3 times. In the 3rd round, the 5th round, and the 7th round, the last round. And one of the things that will be happening here is we're going to be scoring victory points according to where you are in the Emperor track. So here you would get 5 victory points, and here you would get 5, and this would you get 6. And then the Emperor will either will reduce on the Emperor track, so we'll be going down on the Emperor track according to what round it is. So we would be going down 3 or 5 or even 7 down on this track. And then we see where we are, and we get a bonus. So the bonuses are here. If we're in the yellow. If we're in the gray, we don't get anything. And if we're in the black area, we lose something indicated right here. So these are random, which is nice. Up here on this board as well, you've got the political track, which basically means the first player to achieve this goal, or this goal, or this goal, will put a disc that we have over here by your board. You have 3 discs for the 3 political kind of cards out there. There's an A, B, and C one. Obviously, they're kind of a little harder as you go up to the C. And the first player would get 15 points and place one of their discs right here. If they, for instance, got a total of 12 readied rooms or taken rooms, and I'll explain that in a little bit. And the same thing with here. This is 2 columns in your hotel that are completely full. All right. So, and this one says have 4 red rooms already occupied and 3 yellow rooms occupied. And obviously you can see these rooms are readied. And when we flip them over here like this, that means that they are occupied. And I'll explain that as well. So those are what the kind of political cards do, and you can get points for that as well. So there's lots of stuff on the board here. We have our guests, which are all right here, and they have a cost to them to get. So this one would be 3, 2, 1, 0, and 0. And we've got a nice stack of more guest cards. We also have a stack of these cards are staff, and staff are allow you to get basically bonuses of some sort during the game. Okay, we all start the game with some supplies in our kitchen. We get a red cube, white cube, black cube, and a brown cube. This is wine, cake, coffee, and strudel. So everybody gets that. We also start with 10 money that we can now kind of spend. We also have 3 rooms readied. So they're cleaned and they're ready for clients to come in and take them. The purple player here has readied a couple of different rooms than the blue player. They've readied this room and this room. The higher you go up on the hotel, the more expensive these rooms get to actually get ready. So these ones are 0, these ones are 1, and these ones are 2, and these ones are 3. So the purple player is not starting with 10 points because he spent 3 points getting these 2 rooms ready. So it's slightly different from the blue player, which got all 3 rooms ready at the beginning. Now, everybody starts with a hand of cards here that are employees that we can employ. Now, the ones in your hand are not employed. They're applying for the job, but you have to play them and pay their cost to actually initiate them. And they do various things. For instance, this one says get 4 victory points for every red, blue, and yellow room that you have readied, have fulfilled, or there's a client in there in your board. So there's lots of things like this, which we'll talk about soon. So on your turn, what you're going to do throughout the 7 rounds is you're going to determine player order by these things. So in a 2-player game, the first player would get this, and the second player would get that. So the first player will be going first and fourth, and the second player is going to be going getting 2 turns in a row. So first and third. Yeah. So that means that the blue player would be starting first. So the blue player could take, for instance, 1 of these dice and place it out on the board. At the beginning of the game, each person is going to start with 1 customer. So, starting with the starting player will choose one of these customers, and you don't have to pay the cost. So you're just going to get it. So, this is an interesting one. This customer right here, this is the heart of the game. These customers, you're going to satisfy them, and once they're satisfied their appetite in your restaurant, you're going to be placing them into the hotel because they're going to stay the night. Once you do that, you're going to get some victory points indicated here. So this is 5, and you're also going to get a one-time kind of bonus from them. So this one says pick up another employee into your kind of queue, the ones that are applying for the jobs, and also go 2 up on the Emperor track, which is very important because that Emperor track, if you're not up in that gold area, or if you're going to get burnt. So it's very important. And the cost to this is going to be he wants a coffee and 2 pieces of cake. The fat little bugger. We will, I think this isn't a good one. Now this one is 0, but I could have taken this one and it would have been free just at the beginning of the game. And where it goes is it goes to one of my tables. And the tables that I have, there are 3 tables here, and these food are kind of sitting in the kitchen. Now, when I get more food from, choosing, they'll go directly onto my player if I can, or into the kitchen. But right now, I've got 1 customer, and he's waiting for a coffee and 2 pieces of cake. So I kind of want to do that. The other cool thing about these particular cards is that each individual within the game, each customer, wants to stay in a particular hotel room. So the blue cards, or the, a red one, will want to stay in a red room. So I've got some red rooms, and I have a red room, 2 red rooms already. Okay, so now the purple player is going to choose one card, and the purple player, this is an interesting, this one's pretty cheap. He only wants he only wants some coffee and a strudel, and it flips over one of my readied rooms without a client going into it. So it's okay. So we'll take that. Now the colors for the green, there is no green on this board. If you notice, there's only yellow, red, and blue. The green are kind of tourists, and tourists actually don't mind staying in any particular type of room. They'll go and stay in any one. So the red ones like the red rooms, blue like the blue rooms, and yellow, which I believe are artists only, like yellow rooms. Okay, so we're going to place this guy here, all ready to go. And now we're ready to play the game. So starting with the blue player, since the blue player is right here, we will take some die. Now, if I notice right here, I know that I need strudel and 2 cake. Well, the first spot here says that you can take die and get strudel and cake. Now, you can get strudel and cake equal, so if there's 2 die here, I can get 2 strudel or cake, right? So there's, for every die that I have here, I can get one of these resources. Now, it also says that I can take a strudel or a cake, or 2 strudel, but I can't take 2 cake. And the reason for that is that I need to take more strudel than cake, or equal, and that's what that symbol means. So the next one is 2, and it's the same thing. So right here, it's wine and coffee. So it's kind of the drinks, and this is the food. So the drinks say that I can take 2 wine or coffee, but I can't take 2 coffee. I could take a wine or 2 wine, or a wine and coffee, because there's 2 of these. So right there, I am going to take one of these die, and I will place it onto my turn order, saying that that is the action that I will be able to do. So I can take a strudel and a cake. Now, on top of this, there's all these additional actions that I can take. So I can take I can spend $1 to increase the amount of die that I take off of here. So I have an imaginary extra die. So because I want 2 cake and a strudel, I could spend $1 to put me down to 9, and I could get a 1 more. Now, the problem is that I need 2 cake and 1 strudel, not the opposite. So I couldn't actually get my 2 cake that I wanted, which is unfortunate. Okay, so in actual fact, I am not going to do that, and I would just get my my cake and 1 strudel like that. Now, thinking about it, it might be worth it for me to spend an extra $1, because at that point I could store the extra strudel for later. But store an extra strudel, although it doesn't cost you anything, it costs you something to place out, which I'm going to do now. So I'm going to take this stuff and I'm going to place it out, because you can place it directly on your customer, right? So the next thing I can do is, that's my turn, but I can have these additional actions like I said before. So I can spend 1 money to move 3 of my cake, my goods here in my kitchen to down here to one of my customers. So I could spend $1 and move this down to here, and now that's satisfied. So I I push the things off. They go back to the supply. I immediately get 5 victory points, so I move my pawn up on the victory fort marker. And this guy now goes into one of these buildings, into one of these rooms. Because he's green, I can place him into any of these rooms. So since I've got 2 red, I may as well place him in this room. So now that room is full. Okay, so now I get my reward. So I get another character or employee to put into my hand to play later, and he's an ongoing ability. So every time I think I use a 3, I get an additional. I can play an additional employee. So anyways, that doesn't help you because you don't know what I'm talking about. And I move up 2 on the Emperor track. So 1, 2, something like that. And then this card is discarded to the bottom of the deck, or at the side of the deck right there. And that's basically what these kind of actions do. Now, I could have also activated an employee card if I could. So it's a one-time thing, or every round I could do it. And I could move a guest, which I did. So I moved a guest into a room, and now that room is occupied. Okay? So what's the other things that you can do if I didn't choose to take this die? Well, I could have taken the wine or coffee, or I could have chosen to get more rooms, or to prepare more rooms, because obviously eventually I'm going to run out of rooms. I can only have 2 more guests, and then I can't really satisfy any more guests, so I can pay to satisfy to prepare rooms. So there were 2 die here. Now there are 2 die. So there's 2 dice here, which I can spend $1 to get an additional imaginary die, so I could have 3. And I can take one of these and place him over here instead, right? So that's my turn. And now I can place out 2 buildings. So there are some rules to this. I can go adjacent to where I've already built. So I can go here, 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 here. Okay? So I can build, I can do this one, and I will do a yellow one right here. And the yellow one, because it's on the bottom row, is going to cost me nothing. Where the one I placed up here is going to actually cost me $1. So I have to go down. Was that 10? I have to go down 1 because I spent to prepare this room. So that room is now prepared. Okay, so that's what this action does here. The next action is to move up on the Emperor track right here. Okay, so for the 4 slot here, I can go up on the Emperor track or receive money depending on how many die are here. So let's say if there were 2 die or even 3 die, I could spend these 3 die, and I could even spend 1 more die to go up 4 on this track, on the Emperor track, or I can get money. So I could get $4 by spending another $1, which wouldn't make sense. So I could get $3, or I could get a combination. So I could go 1 up on the Emperor track and get $2. So that's what that particular slot does. The next one allows you to play one of your hand of employee cards that might come into the game. Now, you can only play one. You can only ever play 1 of them, but the amount of die that are indicated here will tell you how much the cost is going to be to play them. So this guy right here, which at the end of the game, for every played employee you have, you get $2 victory points, is going to cost $4 to play if I use this action. Now, I can reduce the cost by the amount of dice here. So it would actually cost me $2 instead of 3. So when you take this action, you can never reduce the cost of hiring somebody be below 0. So you can hire him for free, but obviously he's not going to pay you to be hired. The last action, the 6 right here, is a kind of a mirror action. You have to pay $1 when you take the 6 action. And once you do that, you have these die that are in the 6 action to do any of the other actions, but you do them with the amount of die that are on the mirror action. So let's say I needed 2 pieces of strudel, but there was only 1 die here. I could go here, spend $1 and use this action to get 2 pieces of strudel because there were 2 die on this action space. So this goes around. The first player would go, then the second player would go, and then the third player would go, which would be the second player, and then the last player goes, which was the first player. And once everybody has done 2 actions, we clean up, re-roll, and start over again. Now, if there are any actions out here that you don't particularly like, you can pass. And when you pass, you basically just state you pass. And everybody else goes until everybody around the table has finished their 2 actions. So the board might look like that. And then the person that passes takes 1 of the die, places it on the trash can, grabs all the rest of the die, and re-rolls the rest and places them out. So this is a way to get an action that is not available right now. So now that player can spend 1 of their actions, or if they passed at the very beginning, there are 2 actions, to take their turns now with a new set of rolled die. Now this can actually happen quite often. It is advantageous maybe to pass and get a new selection. So if these guys weren't available, for instance, and now they are, it would have been a good move. But rolling the die, it is a crapshoot, right? So that's basically taking your actions and also placing doing your bonus actions, which you can do as many as you can want, except for adding a die to one of these slots. You can only do that once per turn. The rest of them you can do multiple times. This one basically states if you do meet the criteria for the goal, the political goal up here, you can now do it. So that is what this one says. Okay. So the game continues until one of the courses, one of the scoring times occurs right there, and then we stop and we score. There are a couple of other things that are important with this board as well. If you ever fill an entire row, so for instance, if I had this and I satisfied 2 red or a green and red or 2 green, I have filled a section of red. So I immediately get a bonus if I do this. I look up here and it says the red, I get money. So if I accomplished 3, I filled 3 connected rooms, I would get $6. The same with the blue. The blue is all about victory points. The blue says if I get 1, it's 2. If I connect all 4, which on my board, I actually don't have the ability to connect 4 blue. Now on the other side, it's a standard kind of hotel, but on this one, it's randomized. So I couldn't get the 15 by getting 4 blue buildings that are connected. And the last one allows you to go up on the Emperor track. So if I filled 3 yellow rooms that are connected, I would get 3 on the Emperor track right away, which is nice. Now, during the scoring right there, what's going to happen is we're going to go to the Emperor track and we're going to score. So the blue player would get 4 victory points, and the purple player would get 5. Then we look at what round it is. So it says round 3 minus 3. So we would go down minus 3. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And now we're going to get the bonuses or the negatives for that round. So in this round, it's round A. Every person that's in the yellow is going to get a choice of 2 of their goods. So the purple player is going to get 2 goods of their choice from the supply. And if you are on the black spot, which nobody is, right, you would have to lose 4 goods, random goods of your choice. Now, obviously, if you don't have 4 goods, well, then you just lose as many as you can. But this, going to this very end spot, when we score, is really bad. So it's important to make sure that you've got your stuff. Now, in round 5, you actually move down 5 before you find out if you suffer this penalty. And in the last one, it's you move down 7 or you suffer this. And usually that's bad victory points or reduction in victory points. So it's very important to make sure you're on the high up on the Emperor track. Now, if you don't have money, well, you're going to have to get money. So it's very important to make sure you've got enough money. Money is tight in this game. Also, whenever somebody takes something, you fill it. So you move everything down and the stuff gets filled like that. Okay? And everybody continues. If you have all your tables full in your bistro, you cannot take another guy. And basically, every time you take an action or a dice, you have the option of taking a new customer. So what you're going to do is how the round works is you're going to take a customer and then choose a die to take. And that's basically it on how to play Grand Austrian Hotel. There's a couple of things that I want to go over, like some special cards that are in the game. So for instance, this one doesn't show up really anywhere in the directions except for it's in text. This says if you get this guy, you get to take another turn right away if you complete him and he goes into your hotel or stays in a room. You get your 4 victory points, and this is what he needs. So this is kind of a good thing to talk about. This one says, see how these are, you can draw 1, 2, 3 from this pile, and you get to play one of them for free. So this is kind of a difficult, bad iconography, and they don't explain it in the rule book. So it's pretty difficult. Same thing here. You choose 3 cards. You can play one of them for -3. So whatever the cost is, it's -3. So that might be a nice one to do. And this one is play from your hand 2 of your employees, potential employees, and the reduction for both is -1. So that's kind of that. So the other cards out here, most of them you have to find in the book. This one's pretty easy. It's a one-time thing, and you get one of these, one of these, one of these, and one of these. There are various different symbols in the employee section, and it will tell you what each symbol indicates. So on the back of the book, it says right here, there's a one-time use, once per round, permanent, so it's an ongoing, and then the one with the line is at the end of the game. So it depends on what symbols you have. Now there's also this at the back of the book that shows you most of what customers mean, but it doesn't have everything, so it's kind of confusing. Okay, but you'll get through it. I've shown you the ones that kind of were very complicated. One of the big things with this game is once you get your food, you can place it directly onto a customer. It does not have to go into your kitchen first. It goes directly there. If there's any left over and you can't place them, then it goes into your kitchen. And then you're going to have to spend one money to send it out from the kitchen to your cards. So that is also an important aspect to know with the game. It's fairly quick, but it does drag with some AP with 4 players, so that's important to think about as well. Okay, so the last little thing about how to play. At the end of the game, you're going to score some victory points. So, receive victory points for your occupied rooms. So, for instance, right here, this is a game we just finished up. There is some room, so I would get 3 points for this room, 2 points for all these rooms, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and these would be 1-pointers, okay? Every guest that you have left over at the end of the game is going to be minus 5 points, so that is very important to realize, and also you're going to get victory points if you have a token, like I did here, on the achievements or the political tracks there. So you're going to get points throughout the game. You're going to get points for being on the Emperor's track. And then at the end of the game, you're going to get points for your hotel. Also, you're going to get points equal to how much money you have left over. So if I had 5 money, I would get 5 points. And for every good that I have left is 1 point as well. And you score that all up, and whoever has the most is the winner of the Grand Austrian Hotel. So that is it for the kind of how to play. Like always, leave some comments or concerns on the notes below, and stay tuned for the playthrough of the Grand Austrian Hotel.